You're listening to the Daily Sales Tips Podcast, and I'm your host, Scott Ingram. Today's tip is just a little bit longer than usual because Nina's got so much greatness to share. And we've got a little something special for you at the end. Nina Butler is a born-again Bostonian and Martha's Vineyard native. She attributes her passion for making personal connections in her professional life to her neighborly island roots. She currently leads the strategy and execution of sponsored and hosted event experiences for Alice, ensuring each interaction with their brand is a memorable one. Here she is.
Nina Butler here, bringing you a sales tip of the day. I'm going to break down the DNA of the perfect prospecting message. So when in doubt, make sure that you are always capturing your 3 R's in your messaging. And I'm talking about relevancy, relatability, and above all, respectfulness. So I'll go through each of the R's today and give you some tips and tricks to consider to make sure that you can pressure test your messaging to have as high of a response rate as possible with your outreach. So when I talk about being relatable, this is what I mean when I talk about relatability. These are people's 5 to 9 passions. They are what make them beyond their 9 to 5 roles and responsibilities. 5 to 9 passions fuel our 9 to 5 productivity, and they're what make you, you, and me. I'm not just Nina Butler, Director of Event Experience at a B2B SaaS company. I'm so much more than that. I have personal motivators, personal passions of mine that make it unique to me. And so when you're reaching out to folks, try to find all those instances of relatability where you can craft really relatable outreach that will appeal to them as an individual and not just their person or their persona's profile. Far too often, we forget that there is an actual human being that exists on the other end of our outreach. So prompts that you can consider when creating a relatable outreach or program or experience for your audience is, what's your audience passionate about, and how are these person's passions being acknowledged by you with your outreach? Have you built a bond based on mutual affinities that you know you and that person share? What do they spend their time doing or pursuing from 5 p.m. to 9 a.m.? And does somebody's 5 to 9 passions influence the way they actually operate in their 9 to 5 jobs? People share so often online who they are as individuals. So I encourage you all to do your homework and isolate those moments of relatability that you can tie into your messaging. Now, on the other side of the coin, if we were just talking all about people's 5 to 9s, well, of course, you can't ignore their 9 to 5s. We all have jobs to do. And so this is really where relevancy comes into play. And these are things like knowing what's important to your audience right now in their role and what exactly their priorities are in their organization. What are their goals, their challenges, their measurements of success? What's even your current relationship with that person? Have you had existing relationship moments that you can call back to? Or is this a completely new outreach in which you're introducing yourself and trying to establish a personal connection for that very first time? Was there any information discovered on your past experiences or interactions with this person that potentially you might want to help inform your messaging for a more relevant outreach the second time around? Truth be told, this is oftentimes where people over-index on their outreach, but it's really table stakes at this point to create messaging that's relevant to the person. So I promise, if you marry that same level of relevancy along with this concept of being relatable, you're going to see higher response rates. And above all, to bring us all home, talking about creating experiences that are respectful of the people on the receiving end of them. So here's how you can check yourself to make sure your outreach is such. Am I being as buyer-centric as possible? What's in it for them in this relationship? Has empathy been built into the moment that you're creating through your outreach for them? Is the tonality appropriate for the certain situation that you are reaching out? Are you mirroring their disposition potentially? Are you using the right modalities and preferred channels of that person? And last but certainly not least, are you engaging with them when it's optimal for them or just for you? And when at the end of the day, I always encourage my team to run the simple golden rule. If you're on the receiving end of this moment, how would it make you feel? So hopefully you've learned a bit more about how to craft relatable, relevant, and respectful messaging. And I'll leave you with a perfect example. This is a real life example of outreach that I personally have experienced as a marketing technology buyer. And you better believe this person not only got a response from me, but they got a meeting. The subject line went like this: MQLs, snakes, and TB12's house. And the email followed. Nina, what's worse, an MQL or a snake? Just finished inhaling your podcast episode on Rev Genius. Love that you implemented an MQA model and are tied to revenue metrics like pipeline generated. 100% agree that marketing and sales can't be rewarded off different metrics. Sounds like you're already working closely with sales team members' names, but wondering if we could potentially hit it out of Fenway Park and earn the right to show you how my company can further align sales and the dream team of marketing. If you're open to it, let me know, but either way, someone who drives by Tom Brady's place every Sunday to get hyped is the real GOAT. I get goosebumps every time I share this example, but here's exactly why. This person was not only relevant, they were also relatable to me and delivered it in a respectful way. The relatability shined through when he showed me he knew me by taking the time to seek out and consume content that I directly contributed and created. And he also spoke to some of my motivators outside of work. I talk about loving sports. I talk about him from Boston. He really calls on those things to show me that he's done the homework to understand just a little bit more about me and what makes me unique. His messaging was incredibly relevant. He identified things that were a priority to me in my role, such as revenue creation, functional alignment, and he made those really explicit and clear in his outreach. And he also then further mirrored how exactly his solution might be able to help amplify some of the outcomes I'm being held to in those areas. And then lastly, he delivered it in a respectful way. He put me in the driver's seat of the next steps in that relationship by asking if I was open to a next step to let him know. At the end of the day, this outreach was all about me, not about the sender or really the sender's company necessarily. And that, my friend, is what's going to lead to higher response rates with your prospecting.
And now, Nina and I hope you'll respond and take a quick action right now. Alice has been an incredible sponsor of ours for the last year, and I want you to experience a personalized gift from their platform. All you need to do is write a 1-sentence review on Apple Podcasts, if you're an iPhone user, or on Podchaser. Email that review to me at scott@top1.fm, and I'll work with Nina to set you up with your own personalized gift experience worth up to $50. We'll have those instructions for you and links to connect with Nina and Alice at dailysales.tips/907. Once you've done that, and I really hope you'll do it because I want you to experience this, be sure to come back tomorrow for another great sales tip. Thanks for listening.